Good morning, one and all. Today we are going to deal with the topic planning and evaluation. In this, we are going to cover with the planning lecture of 1 and 2 and evaluation. These are the following contents. Planning for community dental program, that is why we plan, and steps in planning. In that, we are going to deal with the lecture today is needs assessment, that is collecting data, analyze the data, and determining the priorities and development of program goals and objectives. In the second lecture, we are going to deal with resource identification, identifying constraints, alternative strategies, implementation, and monitoring. Coming to introduction. Planning is defined as an orderly process of defining the community health problems, identifying the unmet needs, and surveying the resources to meet them, establishing priority goals that are realistic and feasible, and projecting administrative action to accomplish the purpose of the proposed program. A plan can play a vital role in helping to avoid the mistakes and recognize the hidden opportunities. Planning helps in forecasting the future, making the future visible to some extent. It bridges where we are and where we want to go. Planning is looking ahead, that is, like a blueprint. According to Banfield, who defined the term planning as a plan is a decision about a course of action. That is, in other words, the systematic approach of defining a problem, setting priorities, developing specific goals and objectives, and determining alternative strategies and a method of implementation. So the entire definition makes the steps that should be followed in planning. This is a picture, so we will show you the steps how you should plan accordingly. In that, health needs and demands. The purpose of health planning is to meet the health needs and demands of the people. Health needs may have been due to the deficiencies in health that are called as preventive, curative, control or eradication measures. The needs of the medical care, safe water supply, adequate nutrition, immunization, family planning are all the community health needs. Many types of planning exist. Each varies according to the factors affecting the health system, such as geography of the region, socio-cultural background of the population, economic considerations, and political situation. Some types of health planning that were outlined by Spiegel and his associates include the following. That is, number one is problem-solving planning. It involves the identification and resolution of a problem. For example, in Colorado, where the dental process is more among the residents was found out, and to solve it, a research work was done for knowing which is causing the dental fluorosis, and they solved it by reducing the fluoride content in the water. And the second one is program planning. It entails the course of action from all the things in a circumscribed health issue. That is, we should have a proper plan of reducing the diseases. Number third is coordination of efforts and activities. Aims in increasing the availability, efficiency, productivity, effectiveness, and other aspects of activities and programs. This stage often involves an adjustment process such as merger or closing services and facilities. That means whatever the activities or whatever the actions or whatever the efforts we are going to follow is for the well-being of the people. So what are the facilities that are being needful, that should be done. Which is not needful should be closed. And the fourth is planning for allocation of resources. That is, how to plan and what are the resources we are having. There is like example of manpower, economy, products, or whatever things, and allocate the budget or the labor and the facilities so that it will need the existing demands so that it can be solved. Creation of a plan that involves the development like the blueprint or proposal for action containing recommendations and supporting data. It is common for the commission or a special task force to be created to prepare the plan. And sixth one is design of standard operating procedures. It requires the planners to come forth with a set of standards of practice or criteria for operation and evaluation. This can result in the legislation or created by voluntarily by the parties who are concerned for doing it. These are the steps of planning. This is the flow chart that should be remembered by everyone so that in the time of examination also, if you present this flow chart and write accordingly, you will follow the planning steps. They are identifying the problem, conducting the needs assessment, collect the data, analyze the data, determine the priorities, develop program goals, objectives and activities, and identify the available resources. What are the constraints that are obstructing that? If there are constraints, what are the alternate strategies we have planned? And the resources and whatever the constraints should be solved and implement the program to be going on and monitor them and evaluate them so that if it is there, again the ongoing phase should be continuing if the program is to be planned. The first step is identifying the problem, that is conducting the needs assessment. And second one is collecting the data and analyze the data. The reasons for conducting the needs assessment is to ascertain the cause of the problem, to identify the extent and severity of the problem, and to evaluate the effectiveness of the program by obtaining the baseline information and measuring the amount of progress achieved in solving the specific problem. The information might require the number of individuals in the population, geographic distribution of the population, rate of growth, population density, and the degree of urbanization, ethnic backgrounds, diet and nutrition levels, standards of living, that includes housing, amount and type of public services and utilities, public and private school system, general health profile, patterns and distribution of dental diseases in dental field. Or for knowing that we can assess the fluoride content in the water also. And how to analyze the data. Once the data is obtained, we should have the information regarding the population, education status of the community, and also knowing the median of income of the community, healthcare in the geographical locations, and healthcare facilities to the community so that we will plan accordingly, and knowing the fluoride content of the water as I said, and also knowing the political status. That is, if there is a will in the political status, definitely the problems can be solved and the healthcare facilities can be developed. And the second one is step is determining the priorities. Priority determination is a method of imposing people's values and judgment of what is important onto the raw data. That is, with the limited resources or what are the establishing of the priorities that is planned should have an efficient allocation of the resources. A health advisory committee or a task force representing the consumers, community leaders, and providers should be established to assist the development of the policies and priorities. That is, when setting a priorities in the community, the planner must ask how serious the problem is. What percent of the population are affected by it? That is the things that is to be planned. If you are going to plan in a high risk dental needs, what are the things that should be given the priority? They are preschool and school age children, mentally or physically disabled persons, chronically ill or medically compromised persons, elderly persons, expectant mothers, low income minority groups that are present in the urban and rural regions. Before going for the third step, the development of program goals, objectives, and activities. We'll first know what is an objective, what are the targets, and what are goals. An objective is said as which might be achieved or which might not be achieved. It is a planned endpoint of all the activities. That is a point where we have certain objectives to fulfill. That is, if you are planning for a reducing of dental caries, what are your objectives? So, first thing is to know the disease factor of the dental caries and to reduce it, how the best we are going to do it. A target often refers to a discrete activities. For example, we should have a certain targets, like we will have a target of achieving our exam, of getting good marks. Likewise, there are certain targets in a health field, like for example, how many vasectomies is done by the end of 2010. There should be a target that we are going to do 10,000 vasectomies. Or if you are going to collect a blood sample, how many blood samples that are collected by this month end? What is your target? Likewise, it permits the concept of degree of achievement. Targets are thus concerned with the factors involved in the problem, so that objectives are concerned directly with the problem itself. That is, it's said there are factors that are involved in the problem are said as targets. Objectives are concerned directly with the problem itself. Goal is defined as an ultimate desired state that which the objectives and resources are directed. A goal is usually described in terms of what is to be attained, the extent to which it is to be attained, the population or section of the environment involved, the geographic area in which the proposed program will operate, and the length of time required for attaining the goal. These are the things in which we are going to deal with the step development of program goals, objectives, and activities. In that, program goals are broad statements on the overall purpose of a program to meet a defined problem. For example, the program goal for a community that is identifiable problem of the dental caries among school children, so that our program goal is to improve the oral health of school children of a community X. Program objectives are more specific and describe in a measurable way the desired end result of all the program activities. So, whatever the things we are going to do it and what we are going to end it is said as objective. The objectives should specify the following. They are what, extent, who, where, and when. What? The nature of situation or condition to be attained. Extent. The scope and magnitude of situation or condition that should be attained. Who? Where? The particular group or portion of the environment in which the attainment is desired. Where? The geographic areas of the program. And when? The date by which the desired situation or condition is intended to exist. Like, for example, by the year 2020, more than 90% of the people that have been aged by 6 to 17 years in a community X will not have lost any tooth as a result of caries, and at least 40% will be caries free. This is an outcome objective. There are two types of objectives. One is outcome objective and the second one is process objective. As I said in the example, okay, by the year of ending of 2020, we are going to reduce the risk of people or the school children who are losing the teeth due to caries. So we are making sure that our outcome objective is we are reducing the dental caries and we are going to achieve that the persons or the population of age 6 to 17 years will not lose the teeth. Process objective states a specific process by which a public health problem can be reduced or prevented. This is where a process objective plays a role. So, what are we are going to be done and who will be doing it and when it will be done. These are the objectives that should be fulfilled. Okay, this is how a process objective of reducing the needle caries can be done by school fluoride mouth rinse program. So by this we are going to end this lecture of planning. Thank you.